about pull-ups on the Wunda Chair because it is one of, I think, the hardest exercises to do on the Wunda Chair. And if you've never used the Wunda Chair is literally one of the most humbling apparatuses in all of Pilates. I think it's the hardest one to master. I am definitely nowhere near mastering it. So a few things about pull-up. Pull-ups, you have to think of elephant on the reformer. You're in the same shape, you kind of have that same idea of the way you need to move in order for this exercise to work. If you have never done elephant on the reformer, I suggest you go and do that a bajillion times before you try pull-ups on the Wunda Chair, because once again, this exercise, even at your strongest, can humble you in a way that you have never been humbled before. So first you're going to need one high spring and one low spring for a classical Wunda Chair. The 4-spring Wunda Chairs, the contemporary style, I'm not familiar with. You're going to have to play it, but you play with it. You want one heavy, one light spring. Okay, you start in Pilates stance. You're bringing your arms to the front of the chair. You push the pedal down and you're supposed to be lifted high heel. So not here, lifted high heel. You're walking your hands to the back of the chair and the idea is you are shoulder over wrist. Now, from here, you want to tuck your tailbone by pulling up in your core. So you're not jamming your ass this way. You're thinking you're pulling your stomach up towards the ceiling and rounding your spine, and watch my tailbone naturally get tucked. You see that? I didn't have to jam it down. I lifted my spine to the ceiling and it naturally went where I needed it to go. You have to keep your head looking between your knees. Your bottom half is wrapped in saran wrap. You come slightly forward. So not here, just a little bit forward to lift that pedal. And then lower it down with control. If you start to flat back, which 95% of people start to do, you will not be able to get this pedal up. So you saw the proper way. Here are a few mistakes people make. They'll get this initial position. The second they lift the pedal, they start to do this. Because they look up because they're like, what the fuck is happening? This feels so weird. Their ass goes out like they're at the club and you literally can't move the pedal much from here. Do you see how bad I'm shaking? You have got to stay tucked when you are doing this exercise. Almost like you're trying to fold in half in order to do this exercise. To lift. And then lower. Second mistake, and this happens with all beginners, so it's not necessarily a mistake. It's something you need to adjust once you understand the choreography, is you come too far forward. So a lot of people will start here. I say come slightly forward, that's this. Not this, where you're over the chair and though, see how the pedal automatically lifts up when I come super far forward? But there is a chance you're gonna fucking fall right off the chair if you do that. So all of my beginners, when they learn pull up, I allow them to come more forward than they need to be in order to understand the choreography. Because sometimes you have to do choreography first before you look and nitpick form. If they can't lift the fucking pedal and their form is perfect, I get it, but we want them to understand what it feels like to lift it and adjust their form for here. If you're an instructor, you want to stand here and hold their shoulders once they actually understand the choreography to get them to stay in place so that they're lifting without coming forward. So that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is people try to hop the pedal up. This happened this morning with one of my clients. So she was here and instead of lifting, by lifting, you have to push down into the chair with your arms to help lift. She was trying to lift her legs, so she was doing this. That's not what we want. You have got to push into the chair to lift through your arms to lift the pedal up. And then lower with control. Another thing I will see people do is they get the pedal all the way up and then they do this on the way down and sink the pedal. Rule of thumb is As long as it takes you to lift, should take you just as long to lower. That is the control aspect. So you are pulling up from here. The reason elephant works on the reformer, it's a little different of a setup because your feet are wide like this, but with elephant, you're pulling your core up to the ceiling to close the reformer with your hamstrings and your heels. That's the same idea here. You are pulling your midsection up to that freaking sky. This is a demanding core exercise. If you're not feeling this in your core, you're probably not doing it right. It's forward, lift, and lower. Even that was a little bit flop. Now, if you start to get this exercise and you're like, I'm the shit, I can get the pedal all the way up, then that's when you lower the springs. So like I said, if you're looking at this reformer, we are on one low for a 3-springer. Now, if you want to challenge yourself, you take this high spring, come on, and you go to low. This will murder your soul. So you saw I could get the pedal up pretty high on that one. This one's not going to be as high. So the higher the springs are up, the more resistance to help you. So if you lower the springs, it makes the exercise harder because the chair is not helping you lift as much. So from here, Jesus. Oh, I actually got it pretty high tonight. And then lower with control and come off. It's almost like a string is pulling your spine to the ceiling. You're trying to bring your chest towards your thighs and fold in half like a book as you lift. Remember, if you look up and go, aha, you're fucked. So keep tightly, almost like the capital, not the capital letter, like I guess a U. You're scooped through your abs. You're pulling your abs up towards the sky to lift the pedal.